As we keep mentioning, it's not just the homes and humans that have been devastated by this natural disaster. There are horses, dogs, cats, birds. I mean, you name it. All animals have been impacted by these wildfires. But as you can tell by the piles of crates and mounds of pet supplies just outside Pasadena Humane Society right there in Los Angeles, clearly the community is coming together and doing everything it can to help all our furry friends. Right now, the Pasadena Humane Society has currently taken in more than 400 animals due to the wildfires, whether they were brought in by their owners or just found injured or displaced. Their services are truly needed at this moment, with the ICU currently at full capacity. Joining me now is DuVernet, the president and CEO of the Pasadena Humane Society. And Dia, first of all, thank you so much for letting our Christian Cordero be there at your area or at your center right now and bring us up to date on all the animals. But now that we have you, can you give us specifics about the types of animals that have been brought in? And was it because of injuries? Was it owners needing to leave their pets somewhere so they could flee somewhere to stay? Just bring us up to date.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing attention to the animal needs in this horrific crisis. This has been a human and animal tragedy of unimaginable scale. And our disaster response has been in various stages over the past 3 days. Our shelter's about 10 blocks south of the evacuation area. So Tuesday night, Wednesday, as we were taking in animals for families fleeing the evacuation area with no place to take their animals, we were also at a point of not knowing whether we would have to evacuate the shelter ourselves. Thank goodness we were not impacted by the fire itself. We have a lot of debris, a lot of ash. The air quality is horrendous, but we are no longer in danger of fire risk here at the shelter. Our initial response was to bring in those animals for people who were evacuating. And as you mentioned, we've taken in over 400 animals. The next day, we started to see more injured animals being brought in, stray animals that folks had found. We were so warmed to see that neighbors were sometimes rescuing pets of their neighbors who were not at home and bringing them to us. We've now started to see some people who had temporarily sheltered their pets who are coming back to reclaim them. But we do know that many people who fled do not have homes to go back to, and this may turn into a longer-term sheltering need for some of those families. We, this morning, are now turning to yet another phase of this disaster response, which is search and rescue. We've just been allowed by CAL FIRE to send some strike teams into the affected areas, along with lots of support from state and national animal welfare organizations that we've brought in to assist. Right now, we have the ASPCA, American Humane, San Diego Humane, and one other shelter that's escaping me right now. On ground, we've just started to send out teams to start to get a sense of what this is going to be. We imagine that initially we are going to be bringing back remains. We're going to be scanning them for microchips and keeping them here and contacting families so that families can come claim their pet remains for private burial if they would like. We also then think we will be finding some animals that have survived, especially cats are pretty resilient. We're going to start this evening with some traps in the area to try to lure these cats who are going to be very frightened into these traps. And then in the morning, we can go and pick the traps up, bring the cats back, and provide them with the services that they need. We're also getting more and more calls about injured animals. Mostly we're seeing burns, we're seeing singed paws, we're seeing smoke inhalation, singed whiskers. We are seeing animals severely dehydrated. So our ICU is providing oxygen and hydration and burn care for these animals. And as our initial strike teams are going out into the community, we'll be calling in more strike teams to help with this effort. This morning, it was very challenging for us because the National Guard had been called in due to looting. We had staff members who were living in areas that the National Guard was not letting people in or out. Some of our staff members are not able to get out of their homes to get to the shelter to start working to help. I think that that's an issue that's been resolved, but honestly, as I was waiting to come into this interview, I was learning some information from the coverage you were providing right before me. Honestly, it's helping me to understand even more the breadth of the disaster, because really we have been focusing around the clock on the immediate needs of the animals in our community, and taking it just one step at a time, but trying to stay also ahead of it. You mentioned all of the donations. We are so grateful to the generosity of our community and the outpouring of support. But right now, our primary need is monetary donations. We need to keep our facility free of these supplies so that we can be responding to the animals and the pet owners coming to us in need. We've partnered with other organizations now where supplies can be dropped off and also distributed to people who are in need. But right now, monetary donations are the way that people can help the most so that we can source the supplies that we need as we need them.
Well, you have got your hands full, and you're doing an incredible job there at the Pasadena Humane Society, more than 400 animals. And I didn't even think about the fact that you'd have to do recovery and remains and have to deal with that aspect. It's just heartbreaking. But what you are doing for those sweet animals that just don't know where to go or needed a place while their owners figure out their own lives is just such a beautiful gift to the community. Dia, thank you so much, and we'll stay in close touch. And thank you for letting us cover this and also have a correspondent there. We appreciate you.